On the left hand side here, we have the blue driver OBD2 scanner tool app running. If you don't have this, you can go to your local automotive store and it should be able to scan the codes for you. Now we have the P0455, which is the EVAP System Leak Detected. And then for the pending codes, you don't really have to worry about these. It's saying P420, P430. These are catalytic converter codes. For the pending codes, you don't really have to worry about. Having any sort of vacuum leaks could trigger other codes also, which is the case here. But once we fix the issue, it should go away. If it lingers still, then you might have a bigger issue. Now, common issues that could cause the P0455 codes are bad or aftermarket gas caps. You always want to replace it with OEM gas caps. 2 could be the Evap Canister control valve solenoid could be stuck open, which is the case here. I'll include a video at the end here demonstrating that. 3rd could be damaged or cracked vacuum hoses leading to the Evap canister. Over time, the rubber hoses do get dried and they could crack over time. We're underneath the car at the back right hand side. We need to remove the evap shield, which is being held on by 2 bolts and 2 nuts. All 10 millimeters. There's the first bolt that's broken and the first nut behind the exhaust hanger. We'll have to remove the hanger in order to get to the nut. Moving to the right hand side, there's going to be 2 bolts. The left hand side is for the evap canister itself. The right hand side is for the shield. Moving to the front side will be the last nut. I'm going to end up breaking this and the last bolt, so I won't be reinstalling the shield at the end. Since the first bolt was broken, I'm just going to tackle the nut behind the exhaust hanger, which is being held on by 3 12mm bolts. And there's the nut. Luckily, I was able to get this nut off without breaking it. As for the other bolt and nut, they ended up breaking because they were too rusted on. And here's the cover once it's off, all rusted. Like I said, I won't be putting it back on. Once we get the cover off, we can start on removing the hose connecting to the control valve. You can use a flathead to pry on the hose to break it free before pulling the hose off. From here, you may think that you can remove the control valve from here, but you can't. It actually hits the subframe, so we have to drop the evap canister. And to do that, we're just going to go to the other side, and there's going to be a single 12mm bolt holding it on. Once the canister is dropped, we now have better access to the upper plug. All we need to do is push down the upper tab and pull at the same time to unplug it from the control valve. Going back to the other side, this can be a horizontal tab that the control valve actually clips onto. We're just going to push down on it, and then once we get that unclipped, we're going to twist the control valve counterclockwise. I would say about 120 degrees, 130 degrees counterclockwise, and then we can pull it straight out right afterwards. It may be a little snug because it's catching on the O-ring. You don't have to do this step, but before installing the new control valve, I'm going to add a thin layer of dielectric grease to the O-ring. It's going to help lube and protect the O-ring at the same time waterproofing the seal. And to install the new valve, we're going to put it back in the same position we took it out from and push in and turn clockwise, making sure it locks in at the upper tab. To install the evap canister, there's an opening here that we need to insert the upper tab into. Once we have the tab inserted, we'll line up the hole for the bolt. It was kind of hard to get it to line up because I couldn't see. I didn't want to get in the way of the camera. Once the canister is installed, we can go ahead and plug everything back. The last thing to do, well for me at least, is to install the exhaust hanger back on. After replacing the evap control valve, I cleared the codes and drove around for a couple days for the computer to reset. Usually it'll be about 50 to 100 miles. As you can see here, we have no trouble codes anymore. I have the old control valve hooked up to a 12-volt power source, the battery for my Milwaukee impact gun. If you look at the top of the valve, you can see quite a bit of rust that has formed. That's what causes the valve to get stuck open, causing the P0455 code. I added power, but the valve was stuck, so I gave it a little shake to break it free. This is the replacement control valve. As you can see, there's no rust inside of this one. So it's going to move without any issues.